Hello, I am Sanjay Chawla, lecturer in English at Govt Sanskrit College, Bonli in Savai Madhopur, Rajasthan. Today we are going to discuss about Francis Bacon and his prose style. We recognize Francis Bacon as the first great writer of English philosophy, although he had no great respect for the English language. Francis Bacon was born on 22nd January 1561. The first edition of his essays appeared in 1597. It had 10 essays in all, and all the number rose to 58 in the successive editions. His other works are Advancement of Learning, Novum Organum, New Atlantis, Silva Silverum, and he died on 9th April 1626. Bacon was greatly influenced by Montaigne, who was one of the most influential philosophers of the French Renaissance. Montaigne is known for popularizing the essay as a literary genre. While analyzing Bacon's prose style, we cannot separate matter and manner. The charm of Bacon's writing lies in his wit, which means intellect as well as expression. It is the style, including both matter and manner, that is the man. To read him is to put ourselves in invigorating contact with an intellect of the utmost keenness and force, steadily centered, both wide in its scope and alive at every point with a buoyant and intense vitality. Bacon had more than one style. He adapted his style to his purposes. Bacon has been most influential in the history of English prose. He has fixed the form of a chief kind of prose writing, that is, the essay. Hence, he is rightly hailed as father of English essay. His essay is much more thickly ornamented, much more alive with epigram and ingenious fancy. When we read his works, we understand the full force of Ben Jonson's famous eulogium. He was full of gravity in his speaking. His hearers could not cough or look aside from him without loss. The fear of every man that heard him was lest he should make an end. In his own set of expositions, he defines, divides and subdivides with all the formal precision of a schoolman. However, his strong, ever-present sense of necessity of keeping to a point saves him from becoming tedious. He does not pile clause on clause. He shows a much sounder judgment of what a reader can take it without confusion. Francis Bacon's essay of Truth is one of the more famous of his works of prose. The essay begins by mocking those who refuse to admit that there is any certain objective truth. Bacon argues that people have a natural love of lying, even when lying brings no obvious advantage. Truth, Bacon says, resembles light, but he suggests that many people prefer to flirt with darkness because they take some pleasure in lies and lying. Bacon, however, asserts that truth is the greatest good humans can possess. Truth comes from God and attaches us to God, and it is from truth that we derive our deepest pleasure. Bacon's essay is structured in various ways. It begins, for instance, by mentioning Pilate, a symbolic Christ killer and enemy of God, but it ends by elaborately celebrating God's goodness and creativity. Pilate was dismissive of truth. God, on the other hand, created truth and celebrates truth, and in a sense personifies truth. Bacon cites various classical authorities and discusses various classical opinions. He alludes to classical philosophical sects who doubted the existence of truth, but he also alludes to classical thinkers who agree with Christians that truth should be highly valued. As the essay continues to develop, Bacon discusses the attractiveness of lying. People lie, Bacon suggests, even when lying is of no practical use to them. They seem in fact to find pure truth boring. Poetry, he suggests, seems to appeal to this natural human interest in lies, although he implies that the lies told by poets are not spatially harmful. By the conclusion of the essay, the structure comes full circle, concluding with a very heavy emphasis on standard Christian doctrine. Stylistically, the essay employs a number of different techniques. One of the most important of these involves allusions to other texts and other authors, especially classical text and classical authors. Bacon also uses questions effectively. He begins with Pilate's short and famous question, which Bacon regards as frivolous, and then throughout the essay, Bacon poses various and quite serious questions of his own, thus provoking readers to think for themselves and use the reason that he later says is one of God's greatest gift to humanity. Besides using allusions and questions, the essay also uses imagery effectively, especially imagery of light and darkness and imagery involving various kinds of jewels. The quotation is, "Truth may perhaps come to the price of a pearl that showeth best by day, but it will not rise to the price of a diamond nor carbuncle that showeth best in varied lights." In short, Bacon's essay is solid in its structure, intriguing in its stylistic and rhetorical methods, and persuasive in the arguments it presents. Bacon's prose style includes a number of features common to the Elizabethan and the Jacobeans. Number 1, Bacon remains for the main part aphoristic. There are a terseness of expression and epigrammatic brevity in the essays of Bacon. In fact, the essays of Bacon have to be read slowly because of the compact and condensed thought. There are a number of lines which are read like proverbs. As for example, we can quote the essay of Truth. In this essay, Bacon says, "A lie faces God and shrinks from man." Such sentences show that Bacon is a man of practical wisdom. Some more examples from the essay of Truth. "A mixture of lie doth ever add pleasure." Here Bacon wants to convey the idea that the statement of a truth becomes more attractive when a lie is mixed with it. Thus, whenever we want to defend a lie, we could quote this sentence from Bacon. The next one is, "But it is not the lie that passeth through the mind, but the lie that sinketh in and settleth in it that doth the hurt." Here Bacon wishes to convey the idea that much harm is caused by a lie that settles down in the mind, because such a lie will keep working upon the mind and will have long term effects. A lie that is heard and then forgotten will not cause any injury to a man. Certainly, it is heaven upon earth to have a man's mind move in charity, rest in providence, and turn upon the poles of truth. Here, Bacon conveys a valuable moral by the use of a minimum possible number of words. Now, balance and antithesis is the second point. This aphoristic style always depends on the device of balance and antithesis. He scrupulously presents the advantages and the disadvantages of a particular issue. This sort of weighing and balancing makes his style antithetical. Here are some examples from his off studies. "Crafty men condemn studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them." Second, "Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. And reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man." Third, in Bacon's style, there is an over luxuriance of figures of speech. Bacon is a past master of simile and metaphor. The fact is that Bacon's mind was wonderfully quick in perceiving analogies of various types. His similes and metaphors are telling. They strike, they charm, and sometimes they thrill. As for example of the essay of Truth, Bacon writes, "A mixture of falsehood is like alloy in coin of gold and silver, which may make the metal work better, but it debaseth it." There are some rhetoric and pithy sentences. Bacon is a master of rhetoric and pithy sentences in his essays. We have so many examples of this feature. To conclude, we may say that Bacon's style is compact yet polished, and indeed some of its conciseness is due to the skillful adaptation of Latin idiom and phrase. But its wealth of metaphor is characteristically Elizabethan and reflects the exuberance of the Renaissance. No man in English literature is so fertile in pregnant and pithy comparisons. Bacon set up a new method of prose writing, which was at once easy, simple, graceful, rhetorical, musical, and condensed. Thank you.